Okay, and you record or me? Is that okay? I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. And then let me just hop over to, oops.
We can never get mad at Yoram for being late while he's on vacation.
No, he shouldn't even be here on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was vacation. I'm back-to-back call, so. But it's good, it's good.
So the folder
is vacation.
So Nori's just going through our new setup with the agendas.
Mm-hmm. So everything's in the events and meetings folder. This is our top level one. And then inside of here, we have a weekly meetings agenda folder. And then events planning today, but I wanted to show the core meeting because it's kind of similar. So for our February 1st meeting coming up tomorrow, it's laid out almost exactly the same way. Although now it's different. Hold on. Oh, here it is. We'll just need to rename this to February, or, oh, I guess it is March 1st. So the way this is lined up for the table for the topics, it's intended to allow us to see how many topics can actually fit reasonably in a meeting rather than having an endless list of agenda items and having the meeting go over. So based on the topic and stuff, please put in the start time. This one starts 5 minutes in because we do our initial expectation alignment that takes 5 minutes. So it starts at 15:05. There's the topic of discussion, and if there's an objective, what you're trying to get out of this topic. Is it conversation? Is it a decision? Is it consensus? Whatever it is, we should have the objective in there to make sure that at the end of the duration time, we achieve that goal. And then the topic leaders are the people that are going to introduce it or talk to it or kind of come prepared to talk about it. And then how long you think it'll take. And based on that, you add this number to that to get this next one. So I went through and made a shot at these topics. And then it comes down to 15:45. And then we do a 10-minute thing, and that takes us to 15:55. And then we have 5 minutes for closing. So this tells me there's no more room in this agenda for another topic. So going through that exercise is a little bit, it's a little bit of bookkeeping, but it really does help to identify how many things you can put into a meeting and not go over, and make sure that we stay on time. And this also helps with the facilitator. You can look at the time and go, oh, it's now 15:35. We need to switch to incentivizing community participation if we're going to stay on track. So that's basically how the table has been set up. It's kind of a formalized table based on the method that Governance Alive introduced with the Catalyst Circle that Melanie's familiar with. And then moving on to the closing, it's 5 minutes. Basically, I threw in this thing I wanted to try. It's called Acknowledgements. So basically you say it's time for acknowledgements. People can raise their hands and you acknowledge anybody in the meeting that just happened who brought a new viewpoint, did something amazing, or otherwise stood out for you, and just want to acknowledge them. And this is a kind of a closing community building thing, just to say, I paid attention, I saw you do this. And I think that would be a really nice thing to end on. And then just checking out really quickly in one sentence, how you're feeling, where you at, speak from your heart. So that kind of closes the meeting, and then we're done. Any questions on that? Yoram.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I mean, not a question. First of all, excellent. Thank you for that. Can we also use the template to then comment and give acknowledgement during the call on different subtopics? So, for example, if we are doing the first part or the second part, we can have another column to actually write what happened in these 15 minutes. What was decided? What was
Yes, I had a notes column here, but it made everything really squished.
yeah.
So the intent is maybe down at the bottom, we keep our minutes. And we can do that if we have somebody taking notes, I think.
Minutes, and then in the minutes, we can also have some acknowledgement, right, somehow. Or you want to have the acknowledgement kind of 5 minutes in the video in the end, or how do you do that? How does the acknowledgement works?
It's basically just if you notice something that you want to call out to congratulate somebody or acknowledge them, just raise your hand and then go through and just do a quick acknowledgement at the end.
And then, but it's written somewhere then? I say, okay, then I want to acknowledge Nori for taking the time to do this document and putting it all in place. And
it could be written, but it's really meant to just make that other person feel acknowledged. So it doesn't have to be recorded as long as the person hears it.
Okay, so I want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, but if you want to make it permanent, then yeah, definitely put it into the minutes and say, this is important to remember.
I say because it encourages also participation and people to do things, right? I mean, you spend time doing it and effort and thinking, and it's very helpful.
So there's also a couple other things like record the meeting at the beginning. We did that with John. And also save the chat, upload video, those kind of admin things. Do we do that? Is that part of the agenda, or is this something completely different?
No, that's a good point.
And before I say anything else, I may have to go run and put my start my generator. I'm really low on power and I might cut out. So Yoram, I'm going to make you host in the meantime, okay, just in case.
Sounds good.
No, but this is an important point, because also the person obviously that is supporting you with all the admin, there need to be there some kind of an acknowledgement for that it's been done, right? That someone did all of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'll add to the template minutes of meeting. And then we can keep running minutes. And then to Melanie's point, I also added an administrative section in the template. Basically, after the meeting, just some instructions, copy the template and agenda for next meeting, thank people for attending, share agenda in the next meeting in core Telegram, fill out the KPIs for reporting, upload meeting video to YouTube, whatever we need to do so that people can actually walk through and do the right stuff. As kind of starting to build out the playbook.
Great.
So now to the real agenda.
Yes.
And then, the one that I set up obviously wasn't right, but boy, thank you for doing this, Nori. Again, saying what Yoram said, setting it up takes time, but once we get this figured out, boom, should be really good. Obviously too long, but it's a beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we go, we'll get a feel for how long topics take, and I guess the next difficult thing is each meeting should probably have an assigned facilitator and a scribe, so that we know somebody's keeping track of the time and then somebody is taking notes and doing that stuff. So I think we're about to be funded, I guess, on Tuesday. So once that starts, that's probably one of the topics for tomorrow, is to talk about what do we do with the money for the hosts, the hub, and the events, and what are we paying for and how that all works.
So we can also add the start recording and the admin piece to the template, is right? And then it's just a copy and paste one.
Yes.
Perfect. And are you going to take care of that?
Yeah, I'll do that. I already did it to the other template, so I'll do it to this one as well.
Okay, and I think I have to run away to start my generator. I'm going to be gone for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I'll catch up on the recording. I'm your host, and please feel free to take these out of order. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great that we have, so basically we start the meeting now. So this meeting is for the event organization, right? Mm-hmm. And Tyler is here, first of all. it was amazing. And we got, I think Raz update me, we had up to now 65,000 impressions in that tweet that they wrote. It's going up the numbers.
That's amazing.
So that's great. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting. But okay, let's follow the agenda. So organization of information, recording. What's this is an agenda point? Who prepared the agenda here, by the way? It's what Melanie wrote, right?
Yeah, I think it was all Melanie for today. So,
yeah. So recording information for TG chat. What is TG?
Telegram.
Okay. Organizing platform. So basically, I mean, the key thing we wanted to talk today, right, is how we better, not better, I mean, yeah, how we improve or better organize for the planning of the conferences. So it's pity that actually we don't have here Raz and Cole as well. It was very helpful in the previous conference.
Maybe should we start with a little retrospective on what went well, what didn't?
Yeah, so that's let's start with that. Tyler, you want to start with that from your side?
Sure. Well, I mean, the good thing for me is it really made me stretch. Like I was a little uncomfortable kind of being so prominent, keeping things moving, but you know, I just tried to rise to the occasion and hold it together as best I could. I think it was I underestimated. I thought that there would be so many questions because it's, to me, in my head, it's such interesting topics. There's so many connections to make, but I think it was probably a little bit perplexing to people, regenerative agriculture, and then that might also explain partially the lower attendance than previous conferences. That's a theory, I don't know. But I think, you know, I think overall it was pretty good. I thought some of the presentations dragged a little bit. Janti and Megan, I felt like a little bit of wind came out of the sails there. And it may have also kind of been due to the just it dawning on everybody that hostilities had started in Ukraine after Josef's presentation. I wasn't even aware at that point. I was just focused on the conference. So there was a little bit of I felt like wind out of the sails at that point, which kind of carried through into the panel discussion. But I think, you know, having Hobbs there was really helpful in keeping things going. And yeah, I don't know. Those are my immediate takeaways.
Okay, anyone else wants to comment or have a few things to say?
Just a question for Tyler. Is there anything you would like to do differently for next time off the top of your head?
Well, as always, like more time in organizing it. Let's see. Yeah, I kind of wasn't prepared for Ethiopia. I was just so focused on getting my presentation together the last minute. So I was a little bit unprepared, but I also kind of like operating in that space. But I think, you know, I mean, everybody rose to the occasion, all of us that have been working on this and really put together a coherent conference. I felt like, you know, I might, you know, we did stress to speakers like about the 5 minutes. So I feel like some of the speakers really did honor that and some of them didn't. And, you know, maybe I could have done a better job, like jumping in and stopping people. I was just a little bit reticent to do that. But in retrospect, that was probably my job to do that, to move things along. Yeah. What one thought I had was, just like in the broader picture of putting these conferences on, it would be cool. And now I don't know, we would have to know the conferences like 2 ahead, which might not be feasible or even what we want to do, but it would be cool to have like a learn one, do one, teach one kind of approach where like I would have been more active in the tree one and then the tree guys would have been more active in the regenerative one, and then the next one is carbon credit, so they would have been, you know, learning from our process. You know, you get the idea. So like kind of if you're leading a conference, you're kind of active in the previous one and the next one, just to kind of keep the momentum going. But yeah.
Great
I don't know what
ideas. Great ideas, Tyler. You know, for me, it's like, it almost feels like I dropped the ball in your lap and let you run with this. Which
you
was,
have to. You have so much going on. I mean, I was able to really focus on this conference.
Yeah.
So
greatly
we got to keep everything else
appreciated.
moving. Yeah, of course.
Greatly appreciated for that one. You know, about this heaviness about Ukraine and Yosef, I don't know if it was lower energy, but for me, it's really important to acknowledge that. So I'm not sure if it was lower energy or just a heaviness that came on us, because, you know, if we kind of just sort of go, oh, well, no big deal, we'll just get back to business. You know, it's important to me that if something like that happens, this was huge for me to recognize that he had actually showed up. And whether or not it changed the dynamics of the event, in my heart, doesn't matter, because if we're looking for perfection, you know, a smooth running event, super efficient, great graphics, everything perfect about it, we're not really being human, and we're not really being down to earth and approachable by anybody. So I think it was really awesome, and I feel your pain in having to cut people off. That's a very hard job to do. My suggestion going forward would be, you know, setting deadlines for slides, for example. If you don't have your slides in, we cannot guarantee that we have space for you to host, because we need to know that this is happening. So it seems kind of harsh, but it helps the organizers in not leaving things to the last minute. Oops, just a second, I'm running low. I'm done.
Right. Thanks, Melanie. Anyone else?
Yeah. No, I mean, I will reply. I think actually, and I mentioned, you know, I got it in the last minute before with Yosef. I think he actually raised, through this Ukrainian issue, he raised a very, very important issue, that we don't only speak about trust, we speak about how do we know truth of data, right? That was his big argument. And anyway, it was a very interesting discussion that continued after. But yeah, for me, so that was the last minute change, and I think it was important. I mean, we cannot ignore something so big and just do business as usual, right? I mean, somehow. And especially if it's from Ukraine, and I mean, so definitely it's not business as usual. All the world is shaking now somehow. So it was important to, and he tried to connect it to the presentation, but he was obviously in troubled moments and worried, and still very much so. But so I hope everything will be fine though. But for me, I think, you know, we did 3 conferences up to now, which is amazing. I think we need to think in a conference model, like to say, okay, so we will, let's say we will have it every month in the end of the month. So the first week we decide the subject, right? Or we already know what's the subject and we define that. And then the second week we finalize the speakers, right? Somehow try to put a process in place. It will not be perfect, right? Because there will always come things on top. And I think we need to separate between the conference subject, which leader, which in this case was Tyler, to the conference organization, right? It's 2 different things. Tyler is very good in the regenerative agriculture and the network there, and You know, his heart is there, but we missed a little bit the organization part somehow there, which was just to be kind of, it was kind of between Melanie, Yoram, Cole, Raz, right? Between all of us, but there was no kind of someone that took the lead on that kind of is his part. So that's something that I think we need to have every month, a lead, admin lead, and a subject lead, right? And the admin lead kind of have to follow some kind of guidelines and put everything in the guidelines, so it's organized. That's kind of the key area. Also, for example, obviously, I mean the conference lead always. I mean, the subject is so exciting. We're trying to bring as more possible. I mean, I think that the challenge we had in the last two events is that we had, in my view, too many speakers, and each speaker can be a conference by itself, right? And that's somehow these too many speakers. We lose efficiency there of discussion. That's my view.
Yeah.
We lose be the power of each speaker somehow through that.
Yeah, I feel like we were a little nervous that nobody from WADA would show up, and it turned out that 2 people from WADA showed up. And I also feel like they kind of just did their spiel rather than really address the focus of the conference. I mean, Megan did with, you know, because they're actually farming. I mean, that was just my impression. I felt like that was, and it may have, you know, maybe wasn't the best messaging for our other speakers, where it's like 2 people from this organization gave the longest presentations, and it was a little bit more canned. I felt like, because they do these things a lot. I feel like, you know, I mean, it was very important that they were there, but we could have held the organization to at least 10 minutes instead of like 15, 20 minutes.
And another thing that I completely agree. Another thing that was a little bit missing for me is somehow the connection, a stronger connection to the blockchain. Like I would have. I'm sorry that I didn't push Coin, for example, to give a couple of examples that he had related to blockchain, even though it's not on Cardano, right? Because he interviewed 1 or 2 speakers. So that's one, and also. The second speaker, which is the Basin one, which is amazing. I think he's doing the NFTs, right, project, and he didn't speak about that.
Yeah. I regretted that. I dropped the ball on that one. But I think he was still really happy to be.
Focused on regenerative agriculture, which was very educational for a lot of people, right? But we need to connect better to the Cardano part. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that there would be more of that happening in the panel, so I didn't stress that in my presentation. But yeah, maybe, I mean, once the Ethiopia project is together, maybe 6 months from now, we can do the next regenerative focus one can be focused on that, and we can really, you know, think through the connection in the context of an actual project.
Yeah, definitely we can have in a few months another one about the topic and kind of show the progress. Yeah, sorry, Madeline.
No, I'm just thinking that's another thing, is making the list of what events are coming up, what topics are people interested in. There's no reason we have to start planning this event once the last one is done. The planning can take place well in advance if we have a schedule that we're following. And this is regenerative agriculture in Cardano part 1. Fantastic. And Tyler, I keep hearing you say should have. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Absolutely amazing job all around. Beautiful place to start. And, you know, I felt the same way. Should have done this. But, you know, this is a beginning. We're not professionals at this. Anybody can do this. That's the exciting stuff. When we come together as a group, anybody can put this together. Beautiful. Sorry for interrupting, but I just needed to say that.
No, 100%, and we are looking for improvement, right? So 100%, I mean, it was great and it was amazing, but we still look to improve, but 100%.
Yeah, that's why we do the reflection, because we're a learning organization and we can always.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about anything negative. Head in the sand. Tigane, your turn.
Hi. Actually, I came at the right time, actually. I was thinking about the conference and also the preparation we had about the Ethiopian project prior to it. And one thing is clear that we had a resource limitations. The Ethiopian project is a huge project if we are going to continue to do that. And we don't have really much resources there. And the other problem is that there are, especially in Catalyst, there are no kind of impactful proposals for Ethiopia for the almost in all the proposals. There were some proposals in Fund 5 and 6 and 7, but they were not really well done or not very impactful and not well organized. And we don't have any organizational structure for Ethiopia. Huge country with resource problem. When I say resource problem, including the internet problem and people who I try to inform as many Ethiopian in my network inside Ethiopia as possible for the last 4 years about Cardano and also about Catalyst, but still there is a gap, huge gap in Ethiopia. So if we are going to continue, especially with regenerative development, I feel like that we need a challenge for itself in Fund 9. Because the challenges in Ethiopia are quite different than really other African countries where they have multiple or very good connection, very good internet, and people who are, for example, let's say WADA, for example, WADA people, they can from Ghana to Congo, they have done very well. But when it comes to Ethiopia, even WADA, the format WADA have is not going to function. Not the Kenyan people also have done very well. But in Ethiopia, the challenges are quite different than any other African country. So with regard to the regenerative agriculture or regenerative development, if we make a challenge through the regenerative, I think framed as a regenerative development, if we can make a challenge in Fund 8, Fund 9, I have already put a placeholder for that, but we are going to need a lot of people who are going to work on that project, because it is really a multifaceted project. It's not just agriculture, but we are society with identity, and all what Cardano is going to offer is going to be in that project. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think so. It would be something like Regenerate Ethiopia with Cardano would be the title for the challenge.
Yeah, we can choose a title for it, but I feel like we need a challenge for Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Apart from Africa, we can't really demonstrate that there are. We can discuss about it, what the challenges apart from the rest of Africa. For example, there is African challenge in Fund 8. Also, I'm sure people are going to have this African challenge for Fund 9, but the Ethiopian problem is very unique, very unique. I can explain it. It will take probably half an hour, 1 hour, why it is so unique. There are some historical factors. The country was completely closed for the last almost 40 years, first communist government, and then this ethnic extremists took power and they completely closed the country off. It was almost, even so people hear about Ethiopia, it's like the North Korea of Africa for the last 40 years. And that really made a huge impact in the country for the isolation of the country in terms of network, in terms of education, in terms of many things. And because of that, it's really very difficult for the Ethiopia to compete in Catalyst in a format it is now. It will be very difficult to compete with the rest of the Africa, or even later alone with Europe or Asia. So we can discuss about it and how we are going to formulate it, but we need an Ethiopian challenge if you are going to succeed in getting funds for Ethiopian regenerative projects.
Yeah, why don't we schedule another meeting on Ethiopia, like in the coming week?
Yes.
We'll coordinate on Discord.
Okay, that will be good.
Cool. But I totally agree with everything you're saying. It would just, if we were to propose a challenge setting, that means that we can't have our own proposals inside of there. That's the only thing I would mention about that. But we can talk about.
I think we can.
Yeah, no, you can. You can
Oh,
put
you
your
can.
own proposals in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
Great.
We can invite other people, for example, to do proposal in different fields. We can even those that are not in Catalyst. That's what I'm quite excited about. If you have a challenge, then I can invite people from Ethiopia who are not in Catalyst, but who can actually do works down there. And right now, most of the proposals are within Addis Ababa, within the capital, about the probably 10-kilometer radius. But the rest of the country cannot do without resources. If we have the challenge and we have the funds for the challenge, then I can contact the university, for example, even people, so that they can come and we can set up, we can help them to propose a proposal that align with
Okay, I'm going to be super rude now.
Yeah.
And keep on track. So much. It's almost like the Ukraine situation. This is such an important topic that needs its own space. And we can either create a breakout room at the core team meeting tomorrow or on Wednesday, or another meeting altogether for Ethiopia. I've dropped a link in the chat for the challenge team challenge setting challenge team. There's no team right now. It's very, very not happening, but Tagain, you're welcome to join that. Anybody's welcome to join in, and we just start a conversation, around these things and connect. Lots of stuff to deal with right now. We've got, I did up this agenda. There's so much. So feedback from the event. Do we have any more about that specifically?
Yeah, so I have a couple of positive points as well. I mean, first of all, again, wonderful speakers. Again, we needed to align them a little bit, but each one of them was inspiring, and there was still people staying for 3.5 hours, right? I mean, which is incredible to discuss. Again, I think we discussed the timing, should keep it a little bit shorter. I think we saw also that with few simple marketing activities, Twitter and so on, we got very good feedback. So it's definitely something that we need to incorporate better. And I will add something else. These events, the value of them is that we are keep on sharing them with people, and we just we are in discussion with the research company through LinkedIn, through Lucas from Positive Blockchain, and we shared the links also to the events, and it's have ongoing impact. So it's very important. I mean, we don't see the impact only in the event, we see it ongoing. So, I mean, just few remarks about the positive of all of this space and what we are doing. Anyway, just wanted to share that. But
so that leads really well into after the event. How do we make the best use of this? We've got recordings, we can advertise it, we can chop it into different pieces, we can reuse the material. Cole isn't here at the moment, but I think it'd be really important to allow him to, even like Cardano4Climate does, shorten it into a 5-minute version as a promotion, even for the next one. The other one would be to add the link to the recording on the meetup. This is, you missed the meetup. We update it now with the recording. Here it is. You didn't really miss it. So
yeah, so basically what we say now through all the process, if we think about it, we need several kind of roles for each event. So we need an event lead in terms of the subject, right? In this case, it was Tyler with generative agriculture. Then we need an event kind of an administrator that knows the process and help kind of to do all the admin around the event. And we need kind of, if we want a marketing function, which is dealing with videos, dealing with promoting it, kind of what Call is doing, but kind of officialize that and say, okay, now have to start putting it into a template. For example, what you said about Call, I mean, say, okay, up to a week after the event, we kind of have 5 minutes promo of the event, right? And we promote that. I mean, kind of just as an example. And it doesn't have to be, just as the guidelines, right, for the process. And then, so that's, and for that, again, we have budget for that, right? So, so obviously, the people that are doing the work is going to get compensated. Ebbe, it would be great to hear your voice also. You give a lot of good feedback there.
Yeah, absolutely. I just didn't want to interrupt anybody. I think there's a lot of value in, like Melanie said, polishing and kind of getting little bite-sized clips, a couple minutes, even 5 minutes. I think those are really marketable materials. You can post those up, people will watch them briefly, and put them on the social medias and things like that, where maybe the full uncut version is linked to a website, or a lot of times I see people post their content on YouTube in full unedited versions. But I'm thinking like tweeting out a quick video clip that's really impactful and moving, or really encompasses the sentiment of the Accord or Summit, really gets some good engagement.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm a little scared to say this, but I did just get some editing software, and I have started editing the last conference into clips just by speaker. I just started doing it. So I could do
So
a
you
little
could
bit
use
of
some
that
more
going
practice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, Tyler, now it's registering. We register that now. No, we register that and that's it. I mean, it's...
No! I'm using, I have a tape reel, and I'm splicing tape with chewing gum.
work with Cole, and the other video guy is Jacob P. He worked on the last event and chopped out all the in-between Flutter stuff. So yeah, so either way, we've got this covered, but that's a fantastic portion of it.
Again, you raised your hand again.
Tagain, did you have your hand up again or still?
No, sorry, that's the old one.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
Good. Any other feedback? Miroslav, how the event was for you?
I was not on that event. I'm just was curious to jump in and listen to our guys and try to catch everything and try to learn something. And yeah, I am just supporting you for now.
He's
Good.
just
Makes sense.
the treasury guy, you guys.
Just the treasure, yeah.
He controls all
No,
the
it's very
money, so be
important. I
nice.
mean, yeah, it's very important how we are going to use the fund to be able to do what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
In the best way.
And Newman, were you at the event? RL, I'm sorry, I should know who RL is, but and Newman, it looks like you might, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, I was at the event. I came a little late. I had some issues with the time. I I was like, okay, well, I know the thing is going on, and it seems like I went to the Zoom, and so I kind of got filtered through Zoom, and then they hit me up with a bunch of ads, and as I like tried to get in, and then I was like late, and that kind of, so I sort of started kind of on my heels, and then I did feel like I listened to the small farm, the African small farm, and that was good. But and then like a good presentation, a good discussion, but very technical, kind of kicked off, and I was like, it had gotten to the end of my time. But I thought it was good. The breakout rooms, it just seemed like it was a little more technical and less sort of, it just seemed like I was like inside baseball. Yeah.
Thank you for that, because, it's good feedback. What are people looking for? Are we looking for how to start a regenerative farm? Why did you come?
Well, that's a great question. And I think because, and I'm pretty familiar with the Regenerative Ag conference. It's funny because it spilled over. I'm here in Northern California and I work in the cannabis industry, and we had a big conference the next day or the next week on Friday. And I was kind of over it. I was like, oh, geez, okay. It was a weird, and I wonder if the two were connected. I had a real strange sort of reaction to that other conference, and it was very local and very great. And I think Yoram maybe mentioned this, was I really wanted to see the blockchain, like, principles. And that's the other thing. It's like blockchain doesn't just necessarily mean that our regenerative farm project now has its own token or has an NFT, but going back to the principles, it's like, no, we believe in this decentralization, and then this is the reason, these are the things that we're doing in a decentralized way, or we believe in collaboration or networks, or this is the network effect, or this is how we scale, or this is how we do privacy, or this is how we do identity. These are the things that I was looking for, because I know about your regenerative ag, and I know about the blockchain, but what I want is the connections between those, and to see, it in a format or something that I can interface with, that I have, that like use cases and examples. And I think that's what was presented. It's just, those are the improvements that would be good, that I would have, yeah.
Awesome, because you're going to be on part 2.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was kind of, I was assuming that we would get into that during the panel discussion, but we didn't. And during the panel, I probably could have, brought up those points of connection more. But I think it just goes to show, like, we shouldn't assume that, just because we have experts on there, that they're going to cover the things that we want them to cover. And so, I probably should have at least primed those connections a little bit better in the beginning, the traceability, how just basically, everything blockchain fits into it. DAOs, NFTs, token economies, oracles, we had the satellite data. I really thought we would be getting into like the oracle side of things. And so, yeah, we should really strive to make those connections, because I feel like that was kind of, what you're expressing is probably what a lot of people were thinking about. And it was probably like, making them reticent to even ask anything, because they're like, what is the connection? So we got to lay that out up front.
Well, clarity of goals as well, right? From the very beginning, what is the purpose of this event? And just figuring those out ahead of time and making that really clear to the whoever's showing up. And having more time to develop this is really important. So this is the goal. This is what we're planning to, and how are you showing it? Slides need to be in by this date so that we can double check. Can we have a little video clip of what you want to say, maybe? Who knows? But getting it ahead of time. Yes, Miroslav, thank you for coming so much.
Thank you,
And we
Miro.
are up to our hour already.
Can I
Lori,
suggest something? Yeah,
go ahead.
just for, thank you, Miro. I think, I mean, now looking, this feedback is excellent. And now looking into the next one, I think what we need to define maybe is, I mean, before we start the conference now, the next one, okay, the subject, we need to suggest subject, and the community can suggest it, by the way. One of the things we can do on Wednesday is to have a list of suggested subjects by the community. And then we need to find an admin. So there will need to be a conference lead and an admin lead. And they will present their the suggested date and the kind of the roadmap towards the conference, if it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to everyone. So Nori, you need to go. Okay. Thank you, Nori. Have a good day.
Bye.
So we just need to take some notes, finish up here. Let's finish up in 15 minutes at the most. Is that good?
Yeah, in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just let me get my grounding, or if somebody else can take notes, I'll be much faster than I am. Document.
If someone's brave enough, it would be nice if you actually went through the closing and the acknowledgements and stuff too.
Perfect. Let's take your lead, Nori. Thank you for that.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Nori.
Bye, Nori.
See you soon.
Awesome. So can someone take notes? Because that's important what you're saying.
Yeah, I can take one, but I'm terrible on that, but I will.
You know what? Or put them in the chat. Let's put them in the chat for now, and we'll add them.
Wait, let me know. Let me take them. I will
Okay.
take, but 1 second. Where is the dog?
Thank you. That's the way we get it done now.
Wait, okay. So we can start speaking about the next one. What we are now speaking about, the next conference, right?
Can you share your screen as well, Yoram?
Of course, of course.
Or make me host.
Let me know when you see my screen. I have too many screens open here.
Good, seeing it, starting to see it. Yep.
So next conference, right? Conference.
So schedule, do we I think we have that somewhere in the note, making a running schedule, getting feedback from the community, what we want to hear about.
Event after event, right?
Mhm.
Marketing, what tools worked.
So whatever we didn't cover this week, we can just carry on for next event planning week.
Okay. So do we want to speak now a little bit about what happened next? What we are doing next? What's the next thing?
Tyler said carbon footprint. Was that the plan?
Yeah, it was one of the options. So let's say subjects. So one can be Tyler, like carbon footprint. That was one of the things discussed, and Chris is on board, and Project in Singapore is on board, and Scott will be on board. I mean, we can have good. I mean, that's an easy one, relatively, I think.
The other one could be plastic, and that would be related. Sorry, Tyler, you need to mute.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Plastic related to ocean cleanup, litter coin. There's so many different possibilities on that one. That's the Plastic Ocean from Netflix, very current. Literally currents. And then regenerative agriculture and Cardano part 2.
This is too early, no?
Tyler,
But I
you
would
keep
like
going off mute there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying, I just thought I heard from someone at some point that carbon credits were going to be the next topic. One thought I had about this is, what if we kind of alternated? So we had one, like we had trees very down to earth. And then what if we have one that's more like technically focused, like carbon credits? We kind of bounce back and forth. Now it might be better just to remain flexible, but would be interesting maybe.
So what you suggest to balance back and forth?
So if we have one subject that is very down to earth, and then the next one would be more technical. So we could go trees, carbon credits, oceans, oracles, that kind of a pattern.
Okay, so one subject.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
also have that every time in a way, right? Something and Cardano. So we always have something down to earth connected to the blockchain. I'm thinking about it more for onboarding down to earth people as well. But, that's a different market. When you say Oracle, I'm going to look at that and go, what do you mean? Oracles and yeah, so that's just my first reaction.
Yeah, it would just kind of be a way of onboarding both populations. I feel like if we have things that are really hot in the Cardano community, ISPOs, if that was the focus, it might be too narrow, but it might also bring people from the broader Cardano community in. And then if we have one like oceans, it would kind of do the opposite. So
how about oceans, NFTs, and Cardano? That connects the down to earth plus a use case plus the technical plus Cardano.
Yeah, and if we were going to get that specific, we probably should maybe hunt for proposals, or just see what work is being done in NFTs and oceans.
Well, that's what we've got going right now with Apocalypsia. It would be an amazing promotion event. Brings awareness to what's going on in the oceans, brings in LitterCoin and citizen science, shows how the blockchain can fund cleanup, introduces Shlomo, this amazing artist, puts a real good slant on what NFTs can be used for and not just getting rich. This one actually I feel like needs to come first because of even before carbon credits. I'm feeling like the plastic ocean one, if we can get it together in a month, would be my priority.
Yeah, so what I suggest, if you don't mind, let's use the Wednesday meeting to have a section we can just present. We can do something like this where we're presenting a few suggestions for the conference, and then people can suggest other ideas as well. And then I don't know if we can do some kind of a voting in the end of the meeting.
Or come to some sort of consensus. We don't have to do it. Every voice can be heard if we put it on the list, right?
Yeah.
It may not, so the one that has the most interest gets done first. And then we work on it. And then we show that list every time. And maybe that one that was at the bottom becomes the top because more people are interested in it and gets fleshed out. I hate the idea of voting on something, but it seems to be what we do.
So what I suggest is, I think it's great because this Wednesday meeting is going to be dedicated to
proposals,
right? Mm-hmm. So maybe we start in the beginning and we just say, yeah, next, let's decide the next conference ID, think about ideas that you have, share it with us, and then we will send it to everyone on a doc, and Yeah, and that's comment and somehow, yeah, but how the process would be, I'm just thinking to get to the consensus, because that's the only thing I'm thinking. The way Gimbal Labs are doing it, they're just, everyone can fill up a date, right? And he can come and speak. And the first that writes is the first that comes.
So we can also have a breakout room for event planning at our Wednesday meetings. Separate
Okay.
ones on Monday for something like this. Breakout room for event, just like what we were doing with Ethiopia, you know, and just sort of this carrying on. And people that want to get involved in the event or the current event, they can jump in on that. Our Wednesday meeting may end up with too many breakout rooms, which I'd suggest before we go into them, we start combining them and just getting sort of a sense of who wants to go where. And if it's like this one and this one, we just combine the two of them and work them together.
Okay, so this can be wonderful. So in the Wednesday meeting, basically, we start the meeting, we're saying, okay, we are thinking about the subject for the first event. We have some ideas like plastic, around plastic, around NFT for good, around carbon. But we welcome everyone that have an idea to jump, 5 minutes, say his idea, and kind of let's discuss that. Make sense?
Yes. Are you feeling like Shlomo is ready to go within a month with the NFT Ocean project?
So I have Damian, if you want, actually, after this call, I reached out to him and I said, let's speak, because I want to see if Damian is going to lead that. So if you want to join the call, let's join the call together after this call. Shlomo will be ready. It all depends on us. I mean, they are ready. They are on fire. These guys.
Yeah. So I'm sensing that this is the one we need to go with first, and I will help whatever way I can to make it happen. Even if we have to make a second event, I would hope not. But
I think I tend to agree. I mean, in the sense that there is a lot of NFT for good projects happening in the ecosystem. Look on connecting good with Cardano. And Ebbe said, I mean, that's definitely one that will be a hot topic, right? And it will get a lot of traction, I'm sure.
yeah, so we combine NFTs for good with plastics and ocean cleanup. Unless there's any huge objection to going forward with that, I'd like to focus on that for the next event.
Okay, so again, happy to hear everyone, but I don't know if we need to have, I mean, if you want to have NFT for good, plastic and ocean, or NFT for good, and that's different projects, 3 or 4 different projects related to NFT for good, right? And Damian will start with this project and, you know, Cardano trees and the success of that, and that he gives the open source, all the development, you know, and then we're going to 3 subjects. So that's one, and one of them would be Apocalypse C. So we can decide here, if everyone agrees, we can decide that, okay, for the next conference, we will have this subject, and then we will start the process of what's the next conference in the meetup on Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, so we have an idea for March event, which is going to happen in 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks already. But for the next events after that, we start getting more feedback. And if somebody wants to jump in and help on this one, I'd like to see Sean get involved with Littercoin, right?
Happy to hear what everyone think it's a good idea. Any feedback from anyone on that? Anyone? Silence?
Has everybody watched A Plastic Ocean on Netflix yet? Anybody?
For that, yeah.
No, I haven't.
Okay, please watch it.
For what?
So A Plastic Ocean on Netflix. Don't watch it before bed. You'll get visuals that will change your life. And you'll see why then I have such a deep desire to focus on this, because it's a big it's a big thing. And we have Shlomo coming along, doing an NFT release that we hope to connect with specific areas of ocean cleanup. And we'll have a visual of how that ocean gets cleaned up on the NFT. So that's in a nutshell. Kind of exciting.
Okay, so yeah, NFTs for good could be a hot subject, and we can, yeah, anyone have anything to comment on that?
Okay, we're down to the last 2 minutes. So
Okay.
acknowledge.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
please.
I was gonna say, so the subject for the next one would be plastic oceans.
We'll figure that out. Could be
Okay.
NFTs for good or plastic oceans. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
So down to the last couple minutes.
But then we will start the process. From the community. So there's the next one, right? And then we will start.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I think it would be helpful to know like 2 in advance, if possible.
So I'm going to start with the acknowledgement so that we can wrap up in the next couple minutes. Abe, I just want to thank you for jumping in, brand new, helping out where he can. Absolutely amazing. Your support helps lift, puts wind in my sails. So I really thank you for that.
Happy to be here.
And to gain, thank you for always having Ethiopia in front of us and caring about that. Beautiful. And Newman, thank you for being here at 6:30 in the morning and joining in and giving us some really great feedback on the event. So just want to thank you. And RL, I want to thank you for being here silent and listening. Doesn't matter, you don't have to say anything here, but just actually by you being here is incredible. So I want to thank you for being here too.
Thank you. I will participate more here in the future. I'm just listening and trying to take things in. But I'm really on board with the plastic cleanup of the oceans, and I've been looking into that for quite some time for our sailing cargo business with a Gape pool.
Right. So it's Brock. RL is Brock, isn't it?
No, it's Regan, his brother.
Oh, Regan. So thank you so much. So there you go. RL has revealed himself. He's the handsome brother, the handsome twin.
No, I'm not.
So there you go.
How can he be more handsome than Brooke? No, it's not possible.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is it. So there you go. Well, thank you for being here. And it's like permaculture, doing observations and trying to figure out, see the signs, find out what's there. That's another great movie we just watched, was Biggest Little Farm in California on Netflix. Really good.
It's very important. And I want to adjust, I mean, we are finishing just for the newcomers. It's so encouraging to have you. And I mean, we achieved so much up to now, but we are trying to use, we don't want the Cardano4Climate to be associated with anyone. We want it to be a platform for all of us to come and drive a positive impact, okay? And their passion. So if the passion is regenerative agriculture like Tyler, come in and drive it, right? We will support you. Everyone will support you to drive it. If there is plastic, let's support a person to drive it. Ethiopia, I mean, is getting a lot of support. The Farah from the team and Ryan and Tyler about the project in Ethiopia. So come and drive what you are passionate about. We'll use this platform to do it. And we really need, more help to help do everything we do. So thank you very much for joining and taking initiative and participating and being part of it. Every one of us is part of it, basically. So that's a message that we
are who we have been waiting for.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And we are moving into a phase of climate change, the challenge, and climate change, the community, into a change which is called climate change, the collaboration. Right? How can we make it a collaborative platform for all of us to do things and get support? And that's really in order to increase obviously impact and to come with solutions. And I just wanted to mention that, and you will hear a lot about that going forward because that's the next phase.
Okay, did we do everything that Nori asked us to do? Acknowledgements.
Yeah, I did hear acknowledgements, but the administrative, yeah, now we need to do, right? So I will do it after the call. Copy template.
Okay, so we'll take care of all that stuff. I'll upload this recording to YouTube, share the link. Maybe we'll clean it up. We'll clean up the part where Tyler's coming out of the hot tub.
Yeah, I missed this one.
That's okay.
Let's stop there. Go. I didn't wait.
Somehow I missed that one too. I don't